This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories. And welcome to my video predicting what will happen in The Boys Season 5. Warning, this is going to be based off of the comics, at least partially. So if you don't want to know how that ends, and potentially how the show's going to end, although this has differed so greatly from the comics that I think it's only going to be following it in the vaguest senses, but I do think that at least one storyline from the end is going to be adapted in a pretty faithful way. So let's go and start off with just a basic overview of what I think each character's fate, or at least overall storyline, is going to be, since I've already gone over if they will live or die. I think that going through each member of the boys, starting off with Frenchie and Kimiko, I think that they're going to get the relationship closer and closer after they have been broken out of whatever prison Vought has placed them in. Now moving on to just anything else that can happen with them. I'm not too sure. I feel like, unlike the comics, they are going to be alive at the end of this show. In the comics, everyone besides Huey and Annie are killed off. So I think that they are almost certainly safe, as I mentioned in my video a few days ago. And just for the fun of it, I have a poll coming up right around now that is going to ask who you think, besides Butcher, is most likely to die next season. So going through everything with this show, I think that, yeah, I don't think that really we're just going to see a deeper connection and, in their eyes, ultimate redemption of themselves for their past crimes. Moving to Mother's Milk, I feel like he is most certainly going to die, as I mentioned in that video. I feel like he's going to be killed to create conflict and put real stakes into it. He is more or less the heart of the team, and I think for that reason, he's the most likely to die. But if he does survive, I think we'll see a happy ending of him reuniting with his family. And honestly, I'm not really sure which one they're going with. I know I'd rather see him live, but I feel like he has a high chance of death. Now, looking at Huey and Annie, I think that they're going to be together. They'll probably be married by the end of the season, and they are almost certainly safe. And that's just like the comics, but definitely think that they are going to be making it to the end. But now let's go to what I think is going to happen with all the main storylines, because Butcher and Homelander tie into that. And I think the first half of the season is mainly going to be the boys on the back foot. They're going to be trying to get wins where they can, but it's going to be tough for them. I think that the mid-season, maybe episode 3 or 4, is going to see them lose one of the members of the boys. Most likely it will be Mother's Milk, and this will push them to go even harder into the fight. I think around episode 4 or 5, they're going to take on some members of the Seven, maybe in the same fight where they lose Mother's Milk. They're going to have more or less be a draw in that fight where they take out, at a bare minimum, the Deep. I feel like he's going to be dead at least halfway into the season. And looking at the rest of the Seven, I feel like only other person who might die is the replacement Black Noir, but I feel like he'll be taken out in the last episode. I feel like All of the Deep has been a major antagonist throughout it. I feel like he's more of a mid-season takeout, so there can be some kind of victory in the middle before they reach the end game where, although the end game in the last episode could be a massive bloodbath, I think that it's actually going to be the one where Homelander is taken out as episode 7. And this is, of course, assuming this season's 8 episodes long. If they make it a little longer, then I think that Homelander is actually going to be taken out at the end of the second to last episode. If they go based on the comics, and in the comics, the last arc is Homelander is already taken out, and Butcher is continuing on to do his soup genocide and needs to be stopped by Huey. And I think that ultimately that would be a nicer ending where he's trying to redeem Butcher after whatever happens in episode 7, where Homelander is finally taken out and Butcher just is still giving into his darkness and wants to take out all the boys. And this will be in a scenario most likely where Ryan is killed or greatly injured, and Butcher thinks he's going to be dead, and through that, I think he'll be just fully giving into his darkness. But I do think he'll be pulled back into the light at the end, and at the last moment before he dies, he'll be brought back by Huey and possibly Ryan. It all depends on how the season goes fully, but I feel like Ryan's probably going to help him pull back with the help of Huey, and we'll see his death at the near end of the show. But I feel like it all depends on how they want to do it. If they want to have Butcher's redemption happen before or after Homelander's fall, it all fully depends. I feel if they're going to base it a little, at least loosely off the comics, we'll see Homelander's death and then the ultimate defeat of Butcher and him getting his redemption. If not, they'll have that all happen in the same episode. But I feel like that's just too much, and I feel like it's just unlikely for Butcher's redemption to happen before Homelander's death. I feel like it will only happen after. So that's at least what I'm guessing. Now, to go through some other stuff, I feel like we're going to see Huey and Annie adopt Newman's kid to raise her so that she doesn't turn out to be like her mother. I think it's a good chance we're gonna see A Train die to sacrifice himself to probably save Huey and ultimately wrap up his redemption and have him in a good moment. I think we'll see Maeve, but we'll just see her briefly. It's not going to be her going to fight Homeland or anything. I feel like we'll just get a cameo from her at the end. And going through the rest of the 7, this is that. I think New Black Noir is going to be dead either mid-season with the Deep or in the last episode as they're fighting to get to Homelander. I'm not sure if they're gonna fully be going and having Homelander attacking DC with just how things have been recently politically. Who knows, maybe he could, but it all depends on just how far they're willing to go. So I'm not fully sure. And then go into just everything else in this season. I feel like it's going to be utterly insane. I feel like there's going to be an insane amount of death, and But I'm not really sure where it's going to fully end. I think that no matter what they do, it's going to just be an insane season. We're going to see a lot of death, and I really don't know what to expect fully, but these are just my best guesses based off what happened in the comics and some stuff that'll make sense for the show's continuity. But yeah, honestly, really excited to see where this goes. Depending on how they do the filming and when this last season is going to be set, I feel like at the earliest we're going to be getting it at the end of next year, and that's probably through the fact that if they want Butcher to still be dying and him going on one last fight, this will be set weeks, maybe a month or two after the events of the season 4 finale. And I think it's kind of brilliant with them releasing it around now for them to have it set in the end of 2024 and going into 2025, since it's at an election year, and as you can obviously tell, there's an election going on. That just reminded that fact with the news that's been out for about a day now. I'm not going to go into it, but it's a very clear reminder this is an election year, and the last few weeks have been kind of chaotic about that. So I feel like the studio might not want to go that intense into it within the span of a week. We had an attempted assassination on one of the presidential candidates, and the other one dropped out of the race. So I feel like studio might want to try and push things back a little bit, but it all depends on just how things go on going forward. So I'm not fully sure, but I honestly can't wait to see what they do with this. This last season was probably my favorite, and I'm really excited to see what they do. But let me know what you think. What do you think is going to happen next season? Who do you think will live? Who do you think will die? Let me know in the comments and go vote on that poll to tell me who you think is most likely of the boys to die. And again, Butcher's excluded off that because I think his death is a guaranteed certainty. Please let me know in the comments. And I'll see you on the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.